back after a week off, right? We didn't do it last week.
Oh yeah, we didn't do it last week.
So we're back. Lots to talk about. Right off the bat, let's celebrate the fact that we finally got our comments back. We got an email from YouTube telling us that they had.
My heart a bill.
Cool.
That's pretty cool, Sam.
We're doing the live video though.
So we got an email from YouTube, and they said that they had improved their ability to scan for those like comments that are bad, and because of that,
predatory comments.
Yeah, because of that, they were able to turn the comments back on channels like ours, and I know a bunch of other channels that had their comments removed, got them back as well. So, because we had a little creator crew of other people that had communicated to us that also lost comments. You know, we were all in the same boat. And you know, the thing that I'm most happy about, honestly, slightly, is just we don't have to deal with people thinking that we're like bad people because we didn't have comments on our channel. We got hate mail.
I don't honestly.
We got hate mail again the other day.
I think it's been so we haven't had comments for
2 years.
For 2 years, but I feel like Ian's clearly lost his memory in the past 2 years if he thinks that we're not gonna get hate mail now that we have comments.
Oh no, now it's a different type.
Yeah.
Now it's just, you know, like criticisms that go a little too far. Now, you know, my opinion on it is if you're gonna be the type of people who put yourself on the internet, you have to expect that there's gonna be some flames coming at you, right? Yeah, so you have to go at it with some thick skin, because to expect it to not happen is...
No, baby, no. I don't know how you do that thing that you do.
Show them what you got going there with the balloon. I don't even know what this is. This is a glass jar and a balloon that Sam's doing. Sam,
you put your shoulder.
Yeah, no, baby.
oh, you want to...
Wait, so this
You wanna do
weekend was our daughter's birthday, and we deprive our kids. We never let them have balloons, except for birthday parties. And so our son is in heaven because he has the leftover bag of balloons that he's been able to play with. The two of them, it's been, for the last 3 days straight, just full on balloon time.
Okay, so this is what Sam...
Yeah, this is
This is called a Sam toy?
Yeah.
Okay, come back here and get it. That's the like definition of a Sam toy.
Yeah, a balloon on a water bottle that he's then gonna use. He's gonna push the air pressure around. I know.
Yeah,
it's gonna fall off though, so do be careful.
Yeah, and make sure the glass goes back inside afterwards.
Yeah, like don't play with it over concrete, only on the grass. Yeah, Sam for sure. Sam definitely has an engineering mind.
Yeah.
We told him that there's a drought because he's obsessed with electricity. So we told him, oh, there's a drought, there's not very much water, we have to be careful with using water because he's also obsessed with water, so he just wants to play with water all day. And his first question was, oh, but what about the hydroelectric dams? Are we gonna run out of electricity if there's not enough water? So he's definitely, he goes straight to those kind of things naturally.
We've done
put your leg in the middle.
No. We've done so many projects around the house, and he just wants to hang out. It's fun to have him hang out and to try to teach him stuff. So he actually has watched me use so many different tools, and whenever we have contractors, depending on who the contractor is, Sam just wants to be there with them, and he just soaks it up. He's just he's trying to understand it, and he does understand the concepts behind why a lot of things are happening, and so it's going to be interesting to see how he develops through the years, because I think he's going to be a real big help on the farm eventually. It's just he's a good worker. Yeah, he's all because he's internalized the hard work thing. He'll be like, oh, I worked hard today. But let's go back to talk about comments for a little bit because
What were you saying?
I was saying
You were complaining about comments?
no. Well, we got hate mail again the other day. Somebody was telling us how rude it is. They like people take the time out of their day to write us emails to tell us how bad of people we are.
I always laugh about that too, right? People like take time to comment that they're mad that they can't comment because it's like, well, how do you like you're contacting us?
Yeah.
That means like we are available.
The one thing
to hear from you, but
the one thing that I wanted to ask YouTube, like, hey, maybe could you make it so that it says underneath that you disabled our comments and that it wasn't like the creators who did it, because like it occupied so much of the interacting time. Like I actually did a community post the other day of it that explained the whole situation, just so that when somebody asked like why is it that you don't have comments and other people do, I could just link to this.
The funniest thing though was
post.
like on that post, someone was like, "But why don't you have comments?" And it was like,
so
like all that you could have read that it's literally why we don't have comments.
Needless to say, like,
but now we have
I'm
comments.
stoked to
Now
move
we have
past that.
comments,
Yeah.
right?
And
Now we have comments back.
It's exciting to see how excited everybody is. There's so many people that are like, yay, comments, and like that makes it fun because that was something that we really missed, being able to interact with.
You put it in like the only spot that is in the sun.
We might have to move.
Okay, no, we have to move. My eyeballs are burning out.
Here.
It's okay. No, I do this. You move the chair. We're set up in the shade, but Ian, like, I don't know. He failed.
Well,
He failed at shade.
The sun moved.
Yeah, but he also knows where the sun goes, and he knows where trees are. So
It was so pretty back there. Well,
I don't know. What do you think, guys? Is this also pretty?
it's probably
Probably.
all right. So also in news,
Okay,
obviously,
What?
we experienced some crazy heat. It was
Wait, Leah wants to show off her teddies. Okay, so just come back here and do it quickly. If you want to do it, just come and do it quickly, okay? And then, like, both of you just let us do the live video. The kids love being in the videos.
yeah.
So, okay, so these are her birthday party teddies that she wants to show off. You can stand up. She had a kid birthday party.
This one has a little necklace that you made.
Yeah.
That's so
It was
cute.
her first kid birthday party.
Yeah.
She had so much fun.
She had a bunch of friends over. So, we were working kind of all weekend to do the party
Love you.
and, to get it all cleaned up for it and stuff, to give her like something special, because she's been like, wanting to hang out with friends and stuff, obviously, like lots of kids, right? Yeah, do you want to talk about the heat wave?
Yeah. So it was hot.
It was like so hot. Just in a lead up to the heat, we just went through what's supposed to be our wet season, and
Yeah, so June is usually the month that we get the most like precipitation out of any month of the year. So
And-
June is actually really important for us for like building up like our lakes and our reservoirs
to
and
go
like,
into the fire season, because then July hits and you might not get rain, any sort of actual like storm or anything like that, until like September. You go a long ways where like sometimes there'll be a rain cloud that'll come by and it won't even drop enough drops on you that it like evenly covers the surface, and then the sun just follows it and just
Okay, but what's your point?
we don't get a lot of rain.
Yeah, we
And
don't get any rain.
We only got
We get rain in June, and then we get some snow over the winter. This year,
we were only getting
we didn't. It was super hot in January, and then we didn't get any sort of like rain or snow in March, which
Yeah.
is typical. April's usually pretty dry. May is usually pretty dry here, and then the spring rain comes in June. And so we didn't get any of that late winter moisture, and then it didn't rain at all in June.
Yeah, we've gotten about 20% of our normal precipitation during that like early summer to late summer period of time. So we were going into it and we were dry. And then, we got up to...
Okay, so then what happened? Because I know lots of people know, but not everyone knows. So what happened is last week, right? Because when did the heat wave start? I guess it was kind of like Friday was when they started warning us about heat. And that was like through the last vlog that we went out, right? Because that was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're getting ready for it. So that weekend was hot, but like normal hot. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was all like, get ready for like record breaking temperatures, and the nights didn't cool at all. And so what we got on Monday, 42 was the high. On Tuesday and Wednesday, 44 was the high.
Yeah, and 38 is 100, right? 100 Fahrenheit
I don't
is
know.
38 Celsius, I think.
I think it was 117, 118 maybe was the 44.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was...
Someone has to translate to American for us.
It was so hot that it was like, how is anything going to survive this? I know other areas in the world get to those temperatures, but, it just felt like everything was going to just burst into flames here. It was really scary. And there's definitely things that died during it. And, I worry about all the like birds and like all the...
111, someone's saying.
Yeah. So way hotter than we'd ever gotten. And down the road from us, Lytton was getting, some like worldwide attention because every day for 3 days in a row.
This is the parable of the heat wave. On day one, Lytton broke the highest Canadian temperature record. On day two, Lytton smashed that record again. On day three, Lytton got over...
It got right up to
2 degrees higher Fahrenheit than the highest recorded temperature in Las Vegas.
Like ever.
So
it got hotter.
So it got hotter than Vegas has ever been, this like small BC town. And then on day 4, it burnt to the ground. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. There is no more Lytton.
They said over 90% of the buildings like burnt, and it happened. It was like by the time the news even hit about it, like it was already done, right? It was a half hour from the start to it being completely gone. And some people did die. So far there's only, as far as I've heard.
I don't know, I haven't heard anything from it. But it's the type of story where people would have had to have died. Because it was like there's no fire, and then a half an hour later the town was gone.
Yeah. And I started getting super paranoid about fire on this property because people still throw their cigarette butts out.
Did that come to door?
Oh yeah.
Then it like this.
That's really noisy.
Yeah, don't do that, please.
If you want to come sit with us, you can, but you can't play with that toy while you sit with us. So.
Not this.
We have a road obviously that goes just in front of our house, and then like back down the property down there. The reason that we have such a beautiful view is because it drops off pretty steep, and fire really climbs hills, right? Fire just can climb a hill really quick. So down at the bottom would be the most likely place for anyone to throw a cigarette butt, because it's like a highway that goes through our town, and somebody could throw a lit cigarette butt in the side of the road down there, and it could be up here in like 5 minutes or something like that. If it was a windy day, it could climb that hill so fast. And so I was looking at our outbuilding, and I'm like, there's plastic pots that we had just stacked against it that would just, burn. There's grass that I can't get the lawnmower down there. So there's grass that's up to my waist that would just go, and like I started getting super paranoid about that. And then, we're looking at all this stuff around our house and thinking about how, flammable everything is around there. And
and for context, it's a normal summertime occurrence in BC for there to be lots of serious fires. Where we're set up, you can't really see, but the smoke has been really bad. They're telling people with asthma, stay inside. And this is still pretty normal forest fire activity. But it's early, right?
Yeah, it's way too early.
We're anticipating a really, really bad forest fire year. A couple years, the first year we moved here.
The first year we moved here.
1% of our province, which is massive. Right? What's it?
It's probably, I would assume it's bigger than, I don't know, is it bigger than Texas? I think Alaska's maybe bigger than it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's one of those massive pieces of land.
Yeah,
right?
Everything in Canada is big, right? So our provinces are quite large. 1% of it was on fire in that year, as well as, all of the West Coast was on fire. And, it doesn't matter. Smoke doesn't stop at the Canadian-American border.
Yeah,
so the smoke was really, really bad.
It gets settled in this valley as well, and it has a hard time getting out until you get a real big, change of weather come through. So even though it could be clear in Vancouver, the Okanagan could just be covered in a just worst air quality in the world. We had some of the worst air quality in the world when that happened a couple years ago. So, there's definitely some nervousness. It was scary. It was scary to see how powerful the sun was. It wasn't just the heat coming down. It was the earth was hot like an oven. And it was how is anything going to live through this, right? It was intense. And so I'm glad that we're past that, and I hope we never
I've been
see it again.
joking that the only thing we harvested that week was existential dread. Yeah. But the one thing I did want to do in this video is, other than to be depressed,
Yeah.
is to talk about what we did.
Yeah, totally.
Because we're positioned pretty good, and I know I saw in our local groups, other farmers and also other gardeners, they were really concerned about what they should do for their gardens during the heat wave. They, people were doing some really weird stuff. People were throwing bed sheets over top of all their plants, which is a bad idea.
Well, is it though?
Yeah, tuck them in. Did you want to sleep with a blanket on you?
No, but if you just have it, if
you're making shade,
yeah.
But it they were putting it on top,
just laying it on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mommy, can you?
No, baby, not. We're doing the live video. Okay, we can play with you.
We can sit here and hang out.
Okay.
My sushi.
Sam, please. Okay. No.
Can't you blow it up?
So what?
If you blow it up, I'll help you.
Okay, no, Sam, no, you're being very distracting. Okay, you know the deal. Hey, no, that is bad.
he's putting his head on the feverfew.
He's being bad. He was saying he's tired today.
They just turn into hams.
No,
when
hey,
the camera goes
you're
on.
actually not allowed to do that. Okay, that's breaking my plants. That makes mommy sad. You can't do that.
Here, what do you want? I'll come help you for a bit.
Yeah, okay. So what we did for the heat wave was we watered more. I wasn't concerned about the hotter temperatures that we were getting during the video. That I knew was fine. We always get up into, every year, usually a couple times we'll spike up into the 100, be up there for a few days and then drop back down, again. But we usually run between 90 to 100 in the summer. So hitting 100, not weird. Nothing I was overly worried about. But I saw that they were saying it was going to get up into over 40, and that's when it's like, oh, that's like crazy. So what I did was I started watering a few days before we hit that crazy heat, to make sure that everything was well watered going into the heat wave. And then how I normally water the farm is I water it every second day. And our irrigation isn't automated irrigation. So I can't actually water overnight because I'm not going to like set an alarm and get up every hour in the middle of the night to go flip irrigation. That's not happening. And so normally we water in the evenings, and the cycle works out, it takes about like 6 to 8 hours. And we do half the farm one day and then the other half the next day. And it's not like, oh, I better just go do that. It takes time. And so so what we did is leading up to the heat wave, we started watering every day instead of every second day. And then what we did during those like crazy hot days is I would run the water on like our main farm beds. So because I have everything kind of planted for water needs, right? So we have all the greenhouses on the same irrigation zone, so they all have the same kind of water needs. And then I am conscious of like, all the greens, I try to keep them together because greens need a lot more water than some of the other stuff that I grow. So I try to keep that together so I can give it its specific water needs. But yeah, so because it was so hot, what I was doing is in the middle of the day, I would run the water for a little bit on the main farm section, which is the one that has would struggle the most in the heat. And so I ran the water on that to just bring down the temperature, kind of like, take it to the beach, for a little bit. And then we would run it again in the evening. And then instead of running the water every second day, we were running the water cycle every single day. So it was getting a lot more water. And that's the only thing that we did. And then the other thing is that if I saw stuff like wilting and being sad because the hottest time of the day here is 5 o'clock. That's kind of like the peak temperature wise. And if stuff kind of didn't look great, starting at like 3, 4, 5 o'clock, I'd be like, it's fine. It's going to start cooling down, right? Like I knew it had enough water. I was like, I get it. I'm wilting in the heat.
Sam came back another round.
I was like, it'll be fine, and it would, right? Like it would start to cool. Okay, you guys, no, go. You don't get your live video treat unless you're good for the live video. We bribe them every week. They get a treat if they don't bug us. So I didn't worry about it. And then I just watered more. And that's pretty much all you can do, other than like throwing up shade cloth. I guess the other thing that I did is we had shade cloth on our ranunculus because we had another bout of heat earlier, at the beginning of June that was like, unseasonably hot. And so I'd set up shade cloth to try to make sure the ranunculus were salvaged through that. But I took that down and I set it up for I have a little spot where I'm growing seedlings. So I had those covered, so they were in the shade rather than in the full sun. And then at this point, any seedlings that I'm starting to grow for the farm, which we did last year. So this isn't just like a new idea. But all of my seedlings, because the stuff that I'm starting now is stuff for the fall, right? So it's stuff that is more cool hardy, which means it doesn't like the heat of summer. But yeah, all of it is being started inside our outbuilding in an air-conditioned room, right? So
We were laughing. I was laughing about it last night. Like in the spring or in the late winter, we're trying to get things to germinate in like a germination chamber, and then come summer, it's like the exact opposite. We're like, what's the coolest room we have? It's not a firework going off back there. That's like an air cannon to scare away birds from the cherry orchards.
Yeah, that
Sam,
one's new.
No.
We normally... No, you know what? Give me that balloon and you can't have it anymore. Okay, then go play with it by yourself. We will help you after. This is partially the story of why we don't have balloons, because they just get too into balloons. Yeah, the one of our neighbors, it's not our next door neighbor with the cherry orchards. Someone like up the road a bit has these air cannons that are exploding very regularly, like like they go off all the time. You know, the neighbor has that, we showed it in a video. He has this like track that plays like 8,000 different ways that birds could get murdered sounds to keep the birds away. But yeah, I've never seen them do the popping, even though it is a common thing. Yeah, so the neighbor with the cherries, so he said from the heat. Okay, so I think I covered like how I kept stuff alive. So now I'll cover what like died. The neighbor, I think he has 5 varieties of cherries, and he said that the heat brought on and got them too ripe on 2 of his 5 varieties, right? So that means like just crop loss on 2 of his 5 varieties because they ripened so quickly because no one could work, right? Like our employee she came in on Tuesday, and we were doing like an inside project, and then we didn't do the farmers market this last Saturday, partially because of the heat and then partially because it was our daughter's birthday. So she didn't come in because we weren't doing the market anyways, and you know, it's too hot, right? I was kind of like, oh, we can do like half days and find inside jobs. that was kind of the plan. But even our outbuilding, no, we still have a video that we're working on. We ended up selling on the roadside, so we did like a mini harvest. I don't actually know what the video's about because Ian did most of the filming. So I don't know, and we haven't looked at it yet, so I don't know exactly what this video is going to be about. Oh yeah, my art project, and then I've been teasing, that's going to be in the video. I've been teasing over on Instagram the art project that I've been working on, which we're going to reveal in the video. It looks really good. I was like, we can't have our live video like with the art project. We have to wait till next week till it's in the real video. But yeah, so okay, things that got destroyed. I had 3 beds of lettuce, and it was looking not great going into the heat wave, and it's gone. It's completely gone. And I had a bed of lettuce that was like full sized, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get another, like, you know, I'll be able to pick it for the weekend, but it's gone too. So tomorrow my plan is, so that's 4 beds of lettuce that I'm taking out. And when I was picking the kohlrabi for the roadside stand, so I was picking in the dark because I was doing it in the cool, and when I brought it in, a lot of them have like blemishes on the skin that I think might have been caused from the heat. I don't know exactly, because they looked really nice, but the aesthetics of them don't look great. And then the ranunculus was done, but now it's like crispy, which is kind of good for me because I wanted it to finish up so I could take it out. But yeah, so it's done. I had a bed of snapdragons that looked really nice, and it's done. Like they're now anything that was open, right? So the snapdragons, like this is like where the bloom is, and they open from the bottom up, and anything that was open during the heat wave is like dried on the snapdragons. So they have some like flowers open, but I'd have to like strip off and have like half flowers. So they're salvageable, but I'm also thinking that maybe I'll just dry them because the half of it is already dried. But yeah, but it's not, even though I like lost all the lettuce, it's not all bad, because we were watering enough during the heat wave that a lot of stuff that had been struggling all year, because we had a freeze. We had an overnight freeze in mid-May, right? Which is like crazy late for us. Usually beginning of May is like the last cold night, and so we actually had mid-May a freezing night. So when it freezes, even my greenhouses don't really do much, and we've been having really weird weather, right? Because it's been through the spring, it was hot in the day, right? The sun was out hot in the day, and then it was dropping down and was really cold at night. So the spring cool weather crops like lettuces were really struggling because they don't like those daytime highs. And then the stuff that do like the daytime highs, like the tomatoes and the zucchinis and the cucumbers, they weren't super happy because of the nighttime lows. So far this year, it hasn't been great because, it's just been bad weather for everything that we grow. But with this heat wave that came in, lots of water, lots of heat, it finally kickstarted a lot of those hot weather crops that were really slow. Sunflowers was one of the ones that they weren't really doing anything. Normally we'd have sunflowers by now. And my sunflower plants, they're like really short, and like they're just like the stuff that was planted earlier in the year is just not ever gonna look great. I'll be able to use it. They'll still look good for using, but they're not as big and robust as they have been in years past, just because of these cold nights. But yeah, so the heat came in and it basically like kick-started a ton of stuff. Yesterday I went and I had like a big Rubbermaid, like not, because we have 3 sizes of Rubbermaids. We have like the short one, which is like about that, I don't know, like a foot. And then we have like the double size one, which is probably like 2 feet. And then we have a medium size one, which I think is maybe 18 inches. And I filled one of the medium sized Rubbermaids with cucumbers, and it's like the plants are loaded. There's like a million coming after that. The tomatoes, like they're insane. I was in the greenhouse. I was like, oh my God, it's like exploded. Tons of flowers, a ton of the flowers that were just like waiting for a little bit of heat to come. They're all going, they've all started. Peppers, that we grow a lot of stuff that likes the heat. And so, the heat did help a bunch of those crops. It's, even though we lost, and even the lettuce, right? So we lost 2 successions of lettuce, right? Because I wish sponsored by Rubbermaid. Send me some of those Rubbermaids. They're so expensive, and I need like a million of them. So I lost 2 successions of lettuce, because there's 4 beds, but one of them was like a double planting, right? Because this is coming into the time of year when it starts to be problems as the temperature flips over. So I usually do like a double planting of lettuce. So I lost those, but the planting after that I had, it's ready now, right? The only complication is that, so I currently have a succession of what's still good. I have a succession that's like ready to pick now. And then I have a succession that's coming, and then I have the last one that we planted, and it's like looking a little sad. So maybe I'll lose that one. So basically I should probably start more lettuce, right? I have a tray of lettuce to get planted this week, right? It was ready it's ready to get planted this week. I have another, or not, like I have a bed of lettuce to plant, and then I have another bed of lettuce that we started the seeds for on Tuesday. So then it would be ready not next week, but the week after to plant. And so I usually start my lettuce every 2 weeks, but it's probably not a bad idea to start another round of lettuce this week, to make up for what I've lost. So, and then yeah, everything else, it's kind of, we just jumped straight from spring into summer with the crazy weather. But there's lots of flowers, and then yeah, so we survived. We made it. I saw someone asking like what the kids did. So our daughter was out of school. School had ended. And our son is in daycare Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And he's still in daycare throughout the summer. We kept him in there just to keep him in that routine and get a few days a week without him around the house. And so two of those days that were crazy hot, he was at school where there's air conditioning, right? Because we don't have air conditioning in our house, or like, central air conditioning. We just have the little like window air conditioners in our bedrooms. And normally we just like turn them on to like cool down the bedrooms at night. So they only do so much. But so the plan, like what we did with the kids was we just told them to stay in their bedrooms. They had a fan, they each had fans, and then they had the air conditioners on to bring down the temperature. And we were like, you can eat food in your bedroom, we set them up with a laptop where like you can watch your shows, you can like do your art projects. It was just like stay in your room, just stay cool. And then we were after them to drink water, right? Because our daughter is always hot. Our son is like insane. He was wearing fleece. He was like out in the heat. It's like 44 degrees. He has like a fleece onesie on. And I'm like, aren't you hot? And he's like, yeah, I guess it's kind of hot. I'm like, go back and get the fleece off and get back in the air conditioning. And then, yeah, and so my daughter was really hot, and, they're old enough to understand some stuff, but to try to, oh, thanks so much. Popsicles for the kids. There was definitely, we keep freezies in the freezer, but it was like, the kids, they didn't eat. Oh, I got a bow. I have a little bow. He's being so sweet. The cats. Oh, here's a bow. All the cats were inside, right? Because the cats have all been living outside, but they were inside the house. Like, and Bo and Fatty, they fight a bunch. And so Fatty wants to come in the house always, and then Bo fights with him. Oh, Bo, you're so cute. It comes crying. They're all very happy. Yeah, so Fatty and Bo, they were like, okay, it's too hot. It's too hot to fight. So they were inside the house, getting away from the heat. And then Bo like doesn't let me handle, he doesn't want to get grabbed. Like, he'll let me grab him, give him a hug, like what I just did there. But then he's, he's still here hanging out. He's like happy to be here. He's being all cuddly, but he doesn't want me to grab him. But Buddy and Fatty, they're like cats you can manhandle. So before the heat came in, we shaved their bellies. This is like a trick that I started doing with like a cat that we had, and he was like just such a fluff ball, and he'd never shed his like undercoat, so he'd always be really hot in the summer. And what we do is we just like, we would take him, lie him on his back, and just like shave strips up his like belly to just, thin out some of the fur. Because you'd see them like on the hot days, where they're just like, they're spread out and they're like laying their stomachs down. Like all the cats, through the heat, we have a couple spots with tile in the house, and they all wanted to be like laying spread out on the tile, because obviously the tile had a little bit of coolness in it. But yeah, so Fatty and Buddy got their bellies shaved off, and that seemed like that helped them beat the heat. And then they just stayed inside, the cats too. Buddy likes the kids. Fatty and Bo are smart enough not to hang out with the kids. But Buddy hung out in the air conditioning.
Hey,
oh, you got your water bottle.
Yeah, with
okay, but not near my phone, okay?
Watch
because
this.
if it explodes, Sam's back with a new balloon.
Yeah.
Where's Daddy?
Inside.
You should tell him he should come back.
What?
Sam's now doing a water balloon experiment. Yeah, so the cats survived. There was like the Wednesday. So it had been like crazy hot Monday, crazy hot Tuesday, and then Wednesday still crazy hot. And they'd been inside. Hey, that's not nice. No, he doesn't like getting wet. Cats don't like getting wet. You know that. Yeah, and so they'd all been inside, so I was like, okay, they're fine, because at temperatures like that, it's so hot. Yeah, and then on Wednesday afternoon, so it's like the hottest time of the day, I hadn't seen Fatty all day, and I was like, where's Fatty? He should be like inside hiding from the heat, and then with him being, Fatty is like an elderly cat, and he's like so overweight, right? And then the heat, I was like, oh my god, our fat cat, he's just like had a heart attack from the heat. And because I hadn't seen him at all, and I was like, who's seen Fatty? Where's Fatty? And then he finally came out. He'd obviously found a really good spot to hide. It had gotten too hot even for the house on Wednesday, and so he'd found a better spot, and so he made it. The dahlias, they're okay. That's another one to talk about in the heat, because I saw tons and tons of people online saying that their dahlias just like crisped up and like did nothing in the heat. But my dahlias, and maybe it was just that I had been underwatering them, they'd been not getting enough water, and so the extra water that they got made them happy. But my dahlias went from like nothing to they've doubled in size. The dahlias are like loaded with flowers. I'm like, oh my god, that's like my plan tonight when I'm finished with the video here, and I put the kids to bed, I'm probably tonight gonna harvest some dahlias and see if I can sell them, because there's just so many. There's so many on the plants that if I don't pick them off, they won't keep blooming. But they opened up, before the weekend kind of. So I have to pick them off, because they won't keep till next weekend. But so might be finally time to do the flower salad mix. I don't have very much lettuce, so I'll bulk up my lettuce with a ton of dahlias. We'll finally do the Michelin mix, the expensive the flower salad mix. But yeah. Oh, okay. So then the other thing that we did with the kids for the heat, because we made them just like be in your bedroom the whole time, and then after like dinner time, and they didn't eat like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they didn't eat anything, and then on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we went down to the lake kind of at 7 o'clock, and we like let them stay until the sun basically went down. We let them stay up late those nights because that was like the only time, like in the water, and you know, even 7 o'clock when it's starting to cool down a little bit, in the water it was still really hot. You know, it was like you had to be in the water. But then they got some energy out because, you know, the little kids, if you just keep them cooped up, they don't sleep very good. Oh, I have such a cuddly kitten. He wants to hang out with me. Oh, wait, and the last thing, which I saw someone asking about, and that was the chickens, right? Because the chickens are the thing that can really suffer in the heat. Are you coming back? Do you want to come talk about the chickens?
I gotta go get kids. I just made food for it.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the chickens? Should I save that?
Save it for video.
What?
Save it for video.
Have you?
About a 3-year anniversary.
Ian's telling me I can't tell. Instagram's buzzing me. If I get phone calls, it drops the video. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I guess that is a good point, Ian's thing. So we just had our 3-year anniversary on the property, because we moved here on July 2nd. I don't know, what was 3 years ago? 2018, I guess? Math? Yeah, I don't know, I can't remember the year, but it's been 3 years. So it's our which is, you know, it's exciting to see. No, like, so the chickens are fine. We didn't have any chickens die. Just in case. There's no drama with the chickens. How many acres? We have 2.5 acres here. And then this year, I think that, because last year we were growing on about 1/4 of an acre. But I think we're getting pretty close to having a half acre in production this year. Like when we count like all the space that we have up here that we've added. I don't know if the camera is like jiggling. Bo is rubbing against the poles of the tripod. This is like when he's being super snuggly. He thinks I'm like talking to him, I think, when I do, because he'll do this if I'm like filming with like a camera on the tripod or like the live videos. He's like, oh, you're talking to me, and I'll come and I'll rub against the tripod. Bo, he's so funny. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I think we have half an acre in production this year. And then the space, so the flower farm, like what we call the flower farm, the main section, is only 1,000 square feet. It's actually really small. And then this section here, this is actually pretty big. I'm like, how many beds are there? I think that this might actually be 2,000 square feet, everything that we have planted up here. And then the flip side, we call it like the perennial bed, even though I don't know that there's any perennials in it. But I think there's almost 1,000 square feet of flowers in that section. And then, oh, okay, now I'm getting texts. And then these pasta noodles. And then, I don't know, I feel like there could be even another 2,000 square feet of flowers that I've planted around the farm this year. So what is that? 7,000 square feet of flowers. And then the main farm is 8,000 square feet. Right? Or is it 4,000?
What's that?
How big is the farm?
We were saying 8,000 before we expanded down into those greenhouses down there. So I think
something in my
last year we said I think 12,000 all in.
No, I know, but I think we have a half acre. But how big is the main farm section? 4,000 square feet, right?
No, that was like the first year.
No, yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I call the main farm, right? So it's 4,000 square feet. And then there's, each greenhouse is 1,000 square feet. And there's 3. And then it's just under 1,000 square feet in between the greenhouses. So that's like another 2,000. And then I probably have another 2,000 in the bottom that isn't flowers. So that would be 4,000, 7,000, 11,000 square feet in veggies. Oh, and then like, you know, another 1,000 square feet, you know, here and there.
Yeah.
So that would be...
Oh, Bo's on Chapter.
I know. He's been all snuggly. So what is that? 12,000, right? Because I said 11,000. So 12,000 in veggies and about 7,000 in flowers this year. So surprising.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and we have like way more flowers.
You know,
I would argue we have too many flowers, but that's fine because it's kind of, it doesn't matter if they all go in the compost.
No, they don't go in the compost. They get dried.
There's that's fine too, but I'm like, also there's like so many already dried.
There is.
But I sent Ian today because as like you guys can see, like a bunch of the yarrow behind us. This white, this is feverfew, but there's like 2 beds of yarrow and they like need to be picked. And then we didn't really sell any flowers this last week because we didn't do the farmers market, and we did have some bouquets at the stand, but you know, there's a big difference between selling $500 worth of flowers and selling $50 worth of flowers.
Yeah.
So a bunch of that I need to get out, and that'll dry because it looks really pretty.
Did you say we're gonna set up some like aircraft cable?
I didn't mention that.
And we're gonna hang flowers to dry.
Though I've had people talk on that other video about ideas, so maybe talk to why we can't keep things permanently hung up.
Because they lose the color?
Yeah.
So basically I'd love to have that whole room just decorated with the ranunculus forever, those dried ranunculus, but we do have to store it because the color will fade.
You need to explain how you have to store it.
We're gonna store it in like Rubbermaid totes. For one, it makes it easy to bring to market, and it's dark, dry. They're basically, if they're in the totes, they're just put in pause, right? They don't deteriorate in any sort of way. They don't take any sort of damage, because basically it's like
you're okay. I'm going to interrupt you because you're not hitting on the point.
Okay, we're hitting on the point.
I know. So the thing I'm trying to get Ian to say, and he's going on a different direction with it, is the dried flowers. Okay, so back in the 80s, if you're my age, you had like a grandma who had the most disgusting bouquet of dried flowers in her living room, and you were like, oh my god, dried flowers are so gross. And the reason is because dried flowers, even though they're called like everlasting flowers, aren't actually everlasting.
Because they get covered in dirt.
Yeah, they like, you don't dust dry flowers. And imagine something in your house that you didn't dust, that was like pure texture, and you didn't dust it for like 5 years. It's just like gross. And then the other thing is, so the flowers, you know, when they're dried properly, they actually have a lot of color to them. But, you know, the second they're dry, they start getting light bleached from all the color. Right? So you want to store it in a dark and dry place, so that you're going to keep the color and the beauty of the dried flowers till they get bought. I know. So we're laughing at the mukbang. Well, it's at dinner time, guys. I don't know. I never think of it. I'm like, oh yeah, like have some snacks. You know, there's always like 2 of us, so like one of us can talk while the other one's eating.
Yeah, and we don't really, like, we're working all day, so when we sit down, we need to eat because we're hungry.
Yeah. I never feel bad about eating, but I feel like there's comments sometimes, but I feel like they're also the people who send us the emails about how it's rude to not have comments on our YouTube channel, so I don't listen too closely. It's definitely, I would say it's not rude to eat in front of people in Western Canada.
Leatris update.
Oh.
We have Leatris.
Yeah, it started. That's another thing for the heat wave. It totally brought on the Leatris. And so I made, I don't know if I mentioned this in the video or if I was talking about this on Instagram, but white bouquets don't sell. Right? And then, like, I love them. They're my favorite. And if I was to landscape like our property, if we were just like making beautiful gardens, it would be all white. It would be like only greenery and white. That would be
Oh, my milk.
You drank it up?
Yeah.
that would be my like dream. Like I love how classic it looks. I mean, even back there, just like, you know, the white is so pretty. But yeah, so the white amaranth, that'd be cool. I've seen white amaranths, but I think they're bleached. I've seen a bunch of like white dried flowers, and they're definitely bleached. But yeah, so what was I saying? White flowers. Okay, so white. I love white flowers. I love the look of an all white bouquet. And I usually make them, right? So like last year, I probably would do about like 7 or 8 different bouquets. Once we got into the summer season, you know, all the bouquets that I've been sharing with you guys, like coming up to, you know, because that's all of the stuff that I've like been making is flowers I didn't think I was gonna have. The only thing I knew for sure that I was gonna have is all my summer plantings, and those are like, they're not even like my zinnias, my cosmos, they're like only just starting. I was looking back, and the week that we sold $600 in flowers, it was the first week that we did the market, and we didn't have flowers at that market. So all of these spring bouquets that we've had have been like very much just like, you know, happy surprises. But yeah, so because what I do, like the plan is that I'm not like, it shouldn't be every single bouquet is a unique bouquet. Ideally what I want is, you know, I'm making 5 of the same bouquet, sending it down to the market, right? Because there's all these efficiencies that come from working with the same stuff and just having a pattern and putting it together.
And efficiencies that come in displaying it at the market.
Yeah, exactly. Because then Ian can have a bucket of doubles that doesn't have to be at the front, because he knows he has one at the front. But yeah, so last year I always had one of the styles was an all white bouquet, and he would come home and he'd be like, don't make me these all white bouquets, they like never sell, even though like
they sell like
but it would be like, I'd get all these messages because I always would post all the flowers,
and people would be like, oh, the white ones.
Everyone on Instagram would be like, the white ones, I'm swooning, they're my favorite. So everyone online loved the white bouquets, but they'd never sell at the farmer's market. And what? Oh,
Bo being a boy.
Bo was like climbed onto the kids' like play structure, like in this like little play fort, and he's like standing up on his like hind legs in it,
trying to catch flies.
I don't know. He's being pretty funny. Yeah. Okay. So what was I saying? White flowers.
Nobody buys them. You know.
Okay. Yeah. And so then even this year, right? Like, because so those yellow ranunculus, which are like, oh, those yellow ranunculus, amazing. Did he just slide down the slide?
No, he tried to run on it, and then he kind of bailed.
Yeah, so the yellow ranunculus that was like a mistake. Like, I love it. I'm so happy, but they should have been salmon. They were like a misprint on the packaging. But I was so happy to have those because they like really
they look really cool.
Yeah, they made the stand, they made the flowers. But even like the white ranunculus, people didn't like, those wouldn't sell as much even at the farmers market.
The thing about it is, if it's your second favorite bouquet every single time for like all these different people, then they don't get sold. So it could be the one that grabs somebody's attention right off the bat. Like that happens a lot.
Brings people in.
Where people are looking at the white ones, they're like, oh, these are cool. And then they're like, wait a second, look at these gold ranunculus. These are even better. Or, look at this white bouquet, and then like, oh, look at this like colorful zinnia thing going on. And then that's the one they end up buying. And I find that's how it works a lot. It's not that they're bouquets that get zero attention. Like I'd say,
okay,
the,
you know what?
the
And this is
larkspur-
funny, right? Because like Wendy, she came and bought, and you know what? You bought the last of my white ranunculus. It actually worked out really good because that was like after you bought those ranunculus from us, we didn't even really have any white ones left for the market that week. But and I would say like what you're saying is right. Like you came to us on the farm and bought white from us, and I find that at the roadside stand, right? Like people will buy white flowers from the farm. There's just something about the farmers market.
I think that they want the colorful, like it's so fun, right? The contrasting bright colors are fun, and the farmers market is fun.
Yeah.
And everybody's in such a good mood at the farmers market. I think they're just more willing.
They like match the market, maybe.
They're more willing to.
Yeah. I don't know, because it always surprises me.
You could.
Right?
I'm 100% sure that there's farmers markets out there where the white would be the best seller, right?
Yeah, totally.
There's different farmers markets with different customers, with the different tastes. There's so many different farmers markets. Every single one has its own specific clientele, and so you could have one where you can't keep white in stock, but ours, this is just how the sales work for us, right? And that's part of making a business.
Yeah, to knowing what works for you specifically. Yeah. And I'd say in general, just because we're like, oh, we can't sell white at the farmers market, doesn't mean it's a good idea to listen to us saying we can't sell white at the farmers market, right? Are you coming back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but this was like a side note to because this was going to be about the liatris. So what has started on the farm for the liatris is the white liatris. Yeah, because I started talking about these white bouquets because, white bouquets are baby beets. The white liatris has started, and I love the white liatris for making white bouquets. And I have some like really pretty white stuff right now, right? Like I have like this like feverfew. Oh, bows. Yeah, and like I have some daisies that are starting. I have some really fun stuff in the whites. But yeah, so I have, because how many? I'm just doing a mental count. I think because I have 1,000 liatris, and I think that I bought like 300 or 400 white of that 1,000. And so I have a pretty large section of white liatris. But I'm looking at them all starting to bloom, and I have like 1 million flowers right now. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Yeah, Sam in the poop flowers. I made him a bouquet with white liatris and daisies, and I was like, oh Sam, I made this special bouquet for you. But so I have all these white liatris, and I don't know if they're worth keeping for us in the long term. I was looking at them and I was like, I wonder if this is something a florist would be interested in. What are you doing? Just your foot? Yeah. Because I'm like maybe what I need to do is I need to get just leave them. Just leave them. I'm like, yeah, maybe I need to pawn off the white liatris onto a florist. Is your shoe just not on?
No, my toe hurts.
Well, take your shoe off. Let your foot have a break.
That's not what it is.
Yeah. So I was saying that I have all the white liatris, but if you can't sell white, I was like, maybe I should try to find a florist interested.
Well, it doesn't mean that it has to be in all white bouquets as well. But the purple.
I struggle with white. I want it to be in an all white bouquet, right? Yeah. I'm like, what else would I put it with? I guess pink. but I don't like pink. I'm like
Orange.
purple, orange, lime green, yellow,
White,
fuchsia.
white and lime green.
But then it would be an all-white bouquet.
With green.
They're always with green because I use greenery. How hot is it? I have no idea.
This one was 130.
This one maxes out. Like 130 is like when the thermometer stops like recording, and it maxes out every year. So like that's just a normal hot day. But
oh, we were getting like lasering. I should show that video.
Oh yeah.
It was.
So the greenhouses, we're getting like little pools of water up on the roof, and then the sun is like lensing through the water, and it's burning, like it's lasering out the ground, and to the point that it's like burning through and destroying our drip line, which isn't like tape. It's not drip tape. It's like irrigation line. Oh, what's going on? Oh no.
We're losing battery power.
Okay, well,
this is gonna be
we
so this is I smelt burning plastic, and
there's not enough time.
Okay.
Right? Like just show it and then we gotta go.
So this is the laser beam cutting through the landscape fabric. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Okay, so
Serena's battery is about to die.
It's been so long since we've done a live video with like 50% battery that we've killed the battery, and so my phone's about to turn off. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yep.
We're gonna be working on getting the video made.
Probably be more like a Thursday.
Yeah, because we haven't done anything on it yet. And spoiler, the walk-in cooler's not done. But we're really prioritizing that.
Yeah, it'll be done soon.
That needs to get done before like we drop everything and work on the video. So, you know, it might be a little bit later than some other weeks, but we have one coming.
Yep.
Yep. And then we have the members live video on Wednesday for any of the members who are here. And I made a community post with the link because it's a private video, so you need the actual link to be able to get to it. But I don't know. I think that's it for announcements.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks so much for hanging out. We like can't see the screen, so I don't know if anyone's saying anything. But we better go before the phone turns off. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. Oh.